Welcome everybody to our third annual Read-a-Thon for the Book Fairies. It is a month-long literacy event that is to raise awareness and funds for our mission. And we've had some really great success so far. Renee, we're at our goal is 100,000 and we're at almost 68,000 of the 100. So we have a little ways to go. So we're looking for anybody who is interested in getting involved, creating a page or making a donation to get on board and do it. We'll put the information in the Facebook page for you to do that. But today I'm super excited. We've had some great authors, but today I get to chat and have a great time with my friend Renee Daniel Flagler. So I'm going to just do a little bit about your bio and then we'll chat. Renee is actually an award-winning writer. You're an adjunct professor and speaker who is passionate about inspiring young women and youth to pursue their passion and purpose. Passion and purpose is going to come through a lot tonight, I think, right? Renee is the author of several novels, including Society Wives, which has optioned for film. We'll talk about that later. I want to hear the update on that. Your poetry has appeared in Ink and Voices in Spirit Harvest, which you're going to be reading some poetry tonight, which I'm excited to hear. And you've received your MFA certificate in creative writing from the College of New Rochelle, and I know you have lots of friends from there as well. On top of it all, on top of all this amazing stuff that you're doing with writing, Renee is the executive director for Girls Inc. here on Long Island, just doing tremendous, tremendous work for the girls of the Long Island community. And I'm proud to call you friend. I'm proud to work alongside with you. And welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Eileen. I am proud to call you friend too and work alongside and do this work to make our community an amazing community and to support our girls, our children in literacy and in all things. So
yeah,
thank you for inviting me.
Oh, we're so excited. I am going to, as I do every time, I will turn my video off and go on mute, and I will let you read. And then when we come back on, we'll have some questions from some of the people that are watching. And then I would love to just chat back and forth a little bit because you have a very unique model of what you do. And I feel like you can inspire so many people here tonight. So I will be back on and it's all yours.
You got it. All right. So tonight I'm actually going to be reading from my book of poetry. I do have other books. I mostly write women's fiction. I do have one book of poetry that was inspired by a lot of, well, the interesting thing is we are in the midst of a lot of social justice issues, but I've always worked in social justice, working with girls, making sure that girls' rights are secured and fought for, and working with youth of all backgrounds. So social justice has been in my blood. So this book of poetry actually was written before the recent uproars of the past 2 to 3 years, but it really has been really, really relevant. And so I decided that it was very timely to go ahead and take this and publish it last year. So it actually came out last year. These poems were mostly written while I was in my MFA program at the College of New Rochelle. The director of the program, my advisor, and one of my professors really insisted that I get this work out because he felt that it was really meaningful and it was things that people needed to hear. So the name of the book is Asylum, and it's a collection of reflections about race, bias, injustice, and hope. So it's a collection of thoughts and experiences, you know, as a woman in America, as a Black woman in America, as an advocate, and as a mother and a child. So all these different experiences. And so again, it is very different from my other works like Society Wives or the Second Wives Club, which I read from the Second Wives Club last year. And I also write romance. I write for Harlequin under the pen name Nikki Knight. So, and I have a new book coming out under Nikki Knight in November. So look out for that. It's called Work, Love, Balance. So like work-life balance, but it's love, work, love, balance. And I have about 10 titles that are currently out under the Nikki Knight brand of romance with Harlequin. So Renee Daniel Flagler, several books, Society Wives, the Second Wives Club, Asylum, and then there's Nikki Knight with her own line of books. So that's my alter ego. So, like I said, this is a collection of about race and bias and injustice, some reflections, and a lot of it has been a way to kind of reflect some of the experiences. So I've worked with youth for a very long time, and I've worked with youth in various environments, from the Upper East Side to prison systems. And some of the youth that I've worked with has left just an indelible mark on my heart and my soul. And so there is a section in this poetry book where I focused on some of the young people that I worked with previously. So I'm going to read two pieces from that, and then I'll go into some of the other sections. This one in particular is about a young man that I met when I was working at Horizon. It was a prison in the Bronx. And he was an amazing and bright young man that had made some mistakes and was in prison. And, one of the things that I focus on is, hope and making sure that they don't stop dreaming, that their mistakes don't keep them from dreaming. So here you go. This poem, Antonio, I remember you. In fact, I'll never forget. You changed me in ways I'd never expect. At first, you held tight to your heart, wouldn't let in the light. I was there to teach you, but your narrative made me see things anew. Teacher became student. Your life's tale made the intelligent prudent. But the day you asked that question, which caused me to gasp, so simple the words that seemed somewhat absurd. Do you speak to your sons like this? Like what? With words full of encouragement? Do you think I'm trying to encourage you? A shrug, a nod, then maybe came through. Encouragement to him was foreign and new. This one is about a young woman that I met in one of the programs. She was having a really hard time. And through writing, we helped her to just begin to express herself and get all the stuff that was going on inside of her out. And this is what I remember about this young lady. The name of the poem is Allie. Allie, tomorrow looks like, I pray it looks nothing like today. Fear disguised as frustration, insolence as a protective wall, barely holding years of pain. Tomorrow looks like probably today. These walls closing in, exhaustion, siphoning life, playing the same old frame. Tomorrow looks like, tomorrow, as in the next day, doesn't carry enough hope to get through this oppressive wall of angst. Tomorrow looks like, metaphorically, not promising, but where my heart sits, there's hope that a hardening inside will suppress the strain. Tomorrow looks like 1,000 nights and days, no bars, dormitories, not the pounding sound of my father's illicit gate. Tomorrow looks like me facing the silence of a lover that let me take the bait with a closed mouth. While I live with this stain, tomorrow looks like me knowing the difference between love and betrayal, because sometimes from here, it all looks the same. All right, next, I am going to read a couple of pieces from a section of the book that are all epistles, which is poems that are written like letters. And these cover the different aspects of just what goes on in life as a woman, in the workplace, as a mom, and all those roles that we carry. And this is actually about a former CEO who was just not a former boss who was just not a really nice guy, and he was not nice to women at all. So the title of the poem, yeah, I'm Frank. Of course your resume opened the door, but perhaps it was your boobs that landed the job. years of experience, fresh, bubbling ideas, and your eagerness to be an asset to the company are all great, but can you just make a good cup of coffee? I don't care that you studied the science and the art of marketing. You're pretty, maybe, and smart enough. Be like Amy, who'll do anything I ask, or Sarah, who'll remember my wife's birthday. What about Cindy? See her? She kneels at the altar of me. Your degree has made you much too honoring. Get with the culture of the praise that points toward me. Your ideas are bright. That's cool. But what it accomplishes is disappointing to me. I'm not impressed by the eloquence of your pen, not when I can't get you to yield to my volume of masculinity. And why do you get along so well with that particular client? Is it a Black thing? Though it may fit the business, this is not working for me. I'm going to have to ask you your master's degree, accolades, and qualifications to leave. Next one I will read is an epistle called Dear Daddy. Dear Daddy, it was in the last years that I tried hardest to be your daughter, making up for the time I missed wanting to be a daddy's girl. Indiscretion got in the way. Separation tore us apart. Your soft-spoken nature not wanting to rock the boat. Rage, well managed and covered in cast iron, but when tapped, flickered like lava from lips tight as sciatic nerves. Pain just the same. Loving you, loving where you couldn't give of yourself and living where you couldn't love. Regret followed you and then guided you back, too late to mend the vacancies gaping from fruit with rotted wormholes. My memories of you were full, then sporadic, and then full again. The middle patched with holidays, graduations, boyfriends, weddings, and encounters like half-eaten meals. We were proud beasts swapping pleasantries. I wanted more. You tried. Then the measure of you was hardly enough for your own living. Age invaded. That was okay. You needed all of you to live. I understood. I was already used to only a part of you anyway. And then the withering began. Under our noses, I came to you, felt you leaving. The truth of it lodged in my throat, would only come out in cries. So I wailed while siblings watched, reading the angst of my foreign tongue. The clarity was severe. It was almost over. Death rattled in your chest. You tried to cough it up like phlegm. It refused to rise, going deeper and spreading its blackness through your cavity until it sucked away your last breath. You were all we had left. Love always, your precious baby girl. And to accompany that one, dear mama. Dear mama, you told me things. Some lay under the foundation of life. Others were for times that came and went. Vital things, funny things, nominal things. You taught me things that you never realized were lessons. Or maybe it was me that didn't know because you were the one who was wise with wisdom that expanded like the wings God called you home on. You gave me pearls that matured with my experiences and activated knowledge at hostile times. You told me there would be good days and bad, many in between. You showed me life with your living, lessons learned and pains endured, swaddled in one's existence with a tapestry of wild colors. From a distance, all I could see was beauty. Only up close did the crimson bloodstains come into view. Blues traveled in various hues of depth. Bright sun-like tones of happy swirled between the blackness of life. Colors counted like days in a calendar of years until one day, without my wanting, you were gone. For everything, thank you. Your baby, Renee. All right, and I'm going to do two more. Right. This next one is a letter to change. Dear Change, if you could just move faster, perhaps, just perhaps, the child I bore in the sheer hope of a changed world could maneuver unscathed. Perhaps teachers wouldn't label her sassy just because she's smart. Intelligence lasts longer anyway. Maybe she could be rightfully upset and voice her discontent without the stifling weight of an angry Black female brand sizzling her manner. Maybe she won't choke from the thick, noxious scent of her own burning brown skin. If you could hurry, you'll be just in time for her to be viewed as the bright young woman she's meant to be, instead of a budding ghetto fabulous diva, like some enjoy believing. Even though she never lived a single day in the ghetto, they won't watch her, waiting for something ignorant to fall from her lips so they can prove themselves right in their own minds. Possibly her perfected speech could be appreciated, not doubted, cast as an anomaly. Her tongue stared upon as if it spewed ancient languages and not the Queen's English. Sincerely, desperately hopeful. And dear daughter, this is one of my favorites. I'm desperately trying not to fail you, to prepare you for the sting of the life you're destined to live, the cushion in which you're guarded will be stripped away, not by my hands, but by the world. If it were up to me, I'd never release you to the dreadful veracity of life, but I must. I wish I could cover you under the safety of my wings forever, or equip you with the remedy for all you're fated to face. You're becoming a woman, beautiful and strong, yet graceful. And the problem is that you're becoming a woman, and not just a woman, but a Black woman, a Black woman. Your Me Too awaits you, ready to chip any securities put in place by the doting of Daddy and me. All I can say is that when it happens, use your voice. Don't be browbeaten and receive your brokenness with open arms. Fight for your soul. Dance in your healing. Prepare for the expectancy that your irritation, even if justified, will be a cultural misstep, indelible on your DNA. You'll have to direct it like a cast of characters starring on stage, because they will certainly watch, looking forward to the blunders and the climax just the same, and blame you for both offenses and your reaction. They'll try to suppress your voice, make your ideas appear absurd from your tender tongue, recycle your words under the guise of masculinity, and spew the fresh theories like they pondered them themselves with a level of brilliance unforeseen. And the world will receive it with celebration. Ground your heels into the space that you occupy. It's yours, and you deserve to stand there no matter what they say. Some will attempt to push you out of it, believing you are not worthy. Others will bribe you for it, but it's impossible to steal a destiny that's rightfully tethered to your spirit. So stand in it, and don't worry, your skin will heal tougher when the darts stop burning. Faithfully, your mother. And I will stop there.
Wow.
Asylum.
And where can it's definitely a sip and read today. You're bringing it full speed. I love it. And they can get your book anywhere, right? Amazon, Barnes and anywhere.
Definitely Amazon. So because it came out last year, they may or may not find it in the bookstore. If they go to the bookstore, if they have a bookstore that they would like to support,
Mhm.
I'm a huge fan of supporting our smaller bookstores. All they have to do is ask them to order it. It's in the system, they can order it.
Okay.
But if they want to get it from Amazon, they can definitely go and get it from Amazon. And if they have Prime, they'll have it in a day or two.
Well, what's better than Prime? Honestly, we're
What's
all
better than
addicted.
Prime?
So let's try to break this down, because I'm not even paying attention to questions, because I have my own questions and I'm like riveted by the entire thing. Your story about working with the young man in jail and making mistakes truly hit home. We've at the Book Fairies, we've had the fortunate opportunity to work with a young man named, or older man named John Bunn and Shawana Vaughn. I don't know if either one of them, but John was convicted at 14 of murder for somebody that he didn't do, and he spent 17 years in jail. And he talked about how reading was his way out of jail, because he didn't know how to read when he went into jail at 14, and then how that was his way out. It must have been tremendous working hands-on with these, individuals, and the fact that he thought encouragement was such a unique, what was his family life like?
So it just, I don't even know what his family like, but I could make a lot of assumptions based on the fact that, every time I went into the prison to talk to the boys, and I really was able to gain their trust and, just love them, and they loved me. And I was always like trying to speak into them, right? Speak life to them and encourage them to dream and all of this stuff. And we would always do poetry and stories and stuff about what they could dream about and what they can do, and how, that was a pit stop in their life and it didn't have to define everything. And he just came up to me one day and he was like, "Miss Renee, do you talk to your sons like that?" Because, I talked to them, they knew I had sons and a daughter. And I said, "What do you mean? Like what?" And he was like, and then he just kind of stopped. Like, I don't know if he felt embarrassed to say it, but he was like, like you encourage them or whatever. And I was like, "Why? Do you feel like I'm encouraging you?" And then he just put his head down, and he's a big guy. He's like 16, but he's tall and everything. And he puts his head down and he was like kind of like, "Yeah." And it was a moment for me, and I had to kind of keep it together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Well, if you think I am trying to encourage you, then yes." And I do talk to my sons like this, and I'll talk to you like this. You can, you can do anything you want to do. And it was just, it was tough going in. It was like, "Oh, what this lady want?" But then by the time we were done, it was like, they didn't want me to leave.
Yeah, of course, you were probably a breath of fresh air and something that they hadn't seen, or for him at least, he probably hadn't seen that kind of encouragement. And you were something new and almost motherly, probably, to him. That must have been, I can't imagine how difficult it is. And you want to, and you have a lot of good things here to talk about. Your poem to your mom and your dad. As mothers, we want all our children to be safe and happy, and not have to be, even the one to your daughter where you're in the cushion, you don't want to let her out of the cushion. It kind of all dovetails together, because it's all about, protection and being out in the real world, and the crazy that we're all dealing with, that we're all dealing with. And I think when we kind of peel the layers down, there's so much good out there, and there's so many people that are good, but the bad just like keeps floating up.
Rising up.
It's rising up, and they're getting all the attention, and it's really just affecting everybody. And I love the one where you're talking about change and you wanting it faster. Like, what would you do? What do you have, like, any advice, any thoughts, any ideas of what one thing that people could do to just make things better?
Outlets. We all need an outlet, right? So we can't stop the crazy from happening. We can't stop the bad from happening. We can't stop the news, right? We used to have news at a certain time. Now we got 24-hour news. But you have to maintain your sanity. You have to unplug. I'm huge on faith, so my faith carries me. I get into my little prayer corner and closet, and, I'll pray and I'll talk to God, and, and you can't lose your hope. So unplug and don't lose your hope. Because like you said, there's a lot of bad out here, but there's a lot of good. The good just doesn't get the spotlight, unfortunately.
No.
And no matter what, we're going to have tough situations. This book reflects on a lot of tough situations in work where I wasn't respected. because
Oh,
of being a woman or because of the color of my skin. Like that boss really wanted the women in the office to just cater to him. He didn't really care about our credentials. He cared
well,
nothing about our credentials. Hired us for what we brought to the table, but once we got there, he was like, I don't care about that. It's like, how can you worship me? Because everybody else is worshiping me, and if you're not worshiping me, then you don't belong on this team.
it's shocking. It's shocking. It's shocking.
Yeah, I've never worked for a more narcissistic and misogynistic person in my life. It was just odd. So we
That's
can't,
horrible.
control people. We can't control, especially I always say we can't control grown folk. We can't stop this world from being crazy, but we can tap into what's really good. We can heal ourselves and not, I'm not saying don't address the bad stuff, right? We need to be aware of what's going on. We have to deal with stuff. But at the same time, we need to have our own space where we can take care of ourselves, care for ourselves mentally. We need to unplug, shut down the social media, turn off the news for a couple of days. You're going to find out what's going on anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Shut it off.
It'll pop
Shut it
up
off.
somehow.
Exactly. And find a place of peace, of joy, of happiness. And however you can achieve that, if you're a person of faith, spend that time, in prayer and worship and praise and make yourself feel good. Remind yourself of who you are. You have to take that moment to unplug. It is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were just talking about it today, how people are we're craving for leadership on all ends. I'm not even going to get political left or right or anything. My thing is that we're craving for leadership. And just like our children emulate us, I think society is emulating our leadership. Society is emulating the media that's out there. And I think like if you and I sat down, we'd probably have things that we don't agree on. But when we came to the table, we would figure out a way to find the good and bubble that up and make it a good situation. But we're craving for it. We're craving for it. I pray every night. I'm like, please God, send, give us find one person that can actually come to a table and have some way to get us to a better place, because we're not in a good direction and we haven't been in a good direction. And, I just feel like human being to human being, most people want your children, my children, everybody's children to do well. And when you talk about the boy in prison, so many circumstances go into getting to that point. So how do we stop those circumstances? And I'm just going to drill that back to what I do every day is they talk about reading and literacy and, the percentages of children that will be incarcerated if they don't learn how to read. Exactly. So it's just such a vicious cycle. And so much of it, I believe, is little pieces that we could chip away at, and we can make changes that will make long-term changes, even if it's one child at a time, child at a time. Get them reading, get them educated, get them to make different decisions. We say it all the time, one book at a time. And that's really, and what you're doing with Girls Inc., one girl at a time, giving them those outlets to come to you where they might not have the resources at home, or they might not have that encouragement at home, or maybe they do, but they just need extra, or life is so crazy right now that listen, we're adults and we're struggling. We're adults and we're struggling.
Imagine what they're dealing with, and they don't have the coping skills that we hopefully have as an adult.
Yes. So, and you're providing so much of that at Girls Inc. as well, and through your writing, and and your books in general are an escape. And that's the beautiful thing about books is, right? They can just go to a place and forget it, turn the news off and take a book and just go to another place. And I love that.
I love traveling. So it's a thing for me to make people travel through my books. So I'm my characters are always going somewhere overseas, and I love studying places, interesting places for my characters to go, because then it allows me or the readers to kind of experience those places and really have that sense of escapism, get really wrapped up into the story and find new places and the beauty and the culture of those new places. I love that. I don't think I've written one book where my characters didn't travel. That's
fantastic. So, I mean, I think of all the people that that we're stuck in, the pandemic and what have you, just pick up one of your books and we can travel with you. It's been tremendous to really just have you on, and I would love to sit at a table with you any day and figure out how we can solve the problems of the world, because I think, if you check your egos at the door, and both of you and I believe fully in that, no mission gets done, and the world is a mission. No mission gets done if we start throwing egos in there. And I pray for us all, because it's just, it could be better.
I'm with you.
So I thank you so much. You are a friend and an inspiration. You keep doing what you're doing, changing girls' lives, young girls' lives. What is your saying? Bold,
strong, smart, and bold, inspiring all girls to be strong,
smart, and bold. And that's no better investment of your time than that. So thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for being a part of this read-a-thon. It was a great night. Renee comes back every year. She's a wonderful supporter of our mission in so many ways, and we're thankful to her. And we also, our sponsors are always important to us. And we have Marlon, which, is an amazing family. The Marlon Zaslansky family, and PC Richards has been tremendous to us. Amazon, we were talking about buying on Amazon. Amazon's been really good supporters and helping us with transportation into the Bronx, where we just can't get there. So they've been really doing some great stuff with us. And Hofstra University investors, I just want to go down the list, make sure I don't forget anyone. Serini and Associates, right? They invest in us every month. They're tremendous. Mazars, Nixon Peabody, Jovia, and Shopcore just joined on as a sponsor. So thank you all. Thank you, Renee. And I will see you around the block.
That's right.
Thank you. Thanks so much.